What's going on, Imperials? Emperor Cubone here. I've got a really super informal video. I just want to kind of talk about the Pokemon Sun and Moon demo before the games come out. They're here. They're right on top of us. So, I got my buddy Cubone over there, and we're just gonna dive in super chill. We're just gonna talk about a few things. About the Alola region and the game in general, things that I liked or didn't like or just noticed and thought was interesting to point out. I guess we'll start with the Pokemon Center. Staple of the games, of course. Um, I like it. I like the way it's set up. I'm not sure about the coffee shop part. I feel like there's been seating areas and stuff before that didn't necessarily have to be a coffee shop. And I'm not sure that's on equal footing with the Pokemart on the other side. I feel like the Pokemart's pretty well established as a chain and can stand on its own, but the coffee shop, I don't know. I don't know what you're actually going to be able to buy in there, if it's going to be like useful stuff, like proteins or iron maybe, who knows. Because you can't really buy that from Pokemart over there, but you wouldn't be able to buy potions from the coffee shop. Anyway. It's also been a thing for the counters at the Pokemon Center or the Pokemart to not have a way out. That's always been a thing. But for whatever reason, the way it's set up this time, it's really noticeable. Like, I just walk in and see poor Nurse Joy just standing there in her little circular cubicle with no way out. She's trapped forever. And I feel so bad for her. And the guy in the corner in the Pokemart, it looks so claustrophobic in there with all the items and stuff. Anyway, I love the new screen system for when you heal your Pokemon. I know we've only seen it with the one Pokemon as of right now in the demo, but I love it. The way they each flash up there individually, and then you get all 6 of them in sequence, and then it's great. I'm a fan. Okay, next. Yeah, the different events that happen in the demo. So you have this main storyline of the demo, which you complete in about an hour, hour and a half, whatever. You probably blitzed through it when you first got it, which is fine, that's what I did. And then there are these things that happen like 5 days from now, 12 days from now, when you first get it. And then you count down the days, and then there you are. There's events and stuff, which is putting it a little generously because I know it's a demo and everything, and the main portion of the story is completed in the first part of it. But would it kill them to have a little bit more to do? Like, I don't expect something miraculous every time they do it. I like just meeting the Machamp or petting the Pikachu on his birthday, that's fine. But like, the deal at the docks, I was really expecting to like fight some more Team Skull grunts or something. Instead, there's just this weird thing about Slowpoke Tails. It's weird. And they just give you more free stuff, which I'm fine with. I get to transfer all that to the main game. So that's good with me. I guess I just wish there was a little bit more story aspect to it, even though it wouldn't be part of the main story. Because they did do that in some parts. You can go smash your way up the hill to the bald guy and talk to him for a little bit. He has a couple different sayings if you go back and talk to him more. And then there's the Pokemon catching thing with the guy on 10 Carat Hill. So they can do other side things. I just wish they had a little bit more, I guess. Speaking of the catching thing, we'll move on to how you catch Pokemon in these games, and battles in general, I suppose. Catching, of course, the process is the same, but on the screen, you can immediately hit Y during battle and use the last item that was used. So that's cool. That's a new feature that hasn't been seen before. For used to, you'd have to go to items and then you could click last used item, but now there's a button specifically for that, so that's good. And I'm not sure I mean, the Pokeball shakes 3 times and then it's caught. And now, instead of just some sparks flying out, there's an actual Pokeball that appears in front of the real Pokeball, signifying capture, I guess. Which is fine. I feel like it might get old. I don't know. Maybe I'm just nitpicking, looking for things to complain about. But unless it does that in the show as well, I don't think I would like it. Hopefully that won't stick around for very long. But in actual battles, I love the new battle system. It's not a new battle system, but the way, the intricacies, the little details that they put in there. So, say you're using your Greninja that you have given to you in the demo. You come across a Rockruff. You've never seen it before. So you just use Aerial Ace on it, and then it says not very effective. Then you use Water Shuriken. It says super effective, and it knocks it out. The next time you run into a Rockruff, and then hit fight, next to all your moves, it says either effective, not very effective, or super effective. I love this. I love that it's not just freely handed to you, and that you have to learn these things for yourself. Once you encounter this Pokemon, you have it recorded in your Pokédex, and you know its strengths and weaknesses. So you know exactly what you should or should not use against it, because you've already seen it before. It's information that you have. So, like, if you run into a Pokemon early on, maybe forget about it, and then on a later route, you run into it again, you'd be like, oh yeah, that guy. And you would still know what was good or bad against it, even if you don't actually remember, your Pokedex remembers for you. The Rotom Dex, which was pretty useless in the demo, but I'm excited for in the main game. Speaking of not very effectiveness of moves, when you hit with a neutral move, the health goes down, same with not very effective. But when you hit with a super effective move, the entire health bar shakes a little bit, and they're really reeling back from it. So that way, when you haven't seen someone before, and you hit them with a super effective move, you'll know that it's super effective, because there's that extra jostling around, and you'll be like, oh wow, that was a big hit. So even on your first encounter with Pokemon, you'll know what's super effective immediately, because it gives you that visual cue. And I love that sort of thing. I love that the details that they're putting in here. It just makes it all the more rich, I feel like. And Z moves. You can use, in the Pokemon catching game, you can catch Pikachu, and you still have the Z Crystal that was given to you earlier in the story of the demo, where you use that other Pikachu Z move. But you can put this crystal on a Pikachu you catch, and use that Z move just in the grass. And so that's really cool. It's a really cool name. I like the electric name, Gigavolt Havoc. It's a lot better than Catastrophe Pika, or his signature move. But when selected to use the Z move, the Pikachus in the grass know Nuzzle and Thundershock, I believe. And so you can select either one to initiate the Z move, because they're both electric type moves. So that's interesting. However, once used, you cannot use the other one in that same battle. So, having two types of the same move, two moves of the same type, isn't necessarily the best in competitive, which I don't really do anyway, but sometimes you need it in the main story. I get that. So, I guess what I'm saying is don't count on using the Z move twice, because that's not what it's for, obviously. Also, I used the Z move on another wild Pikachu in the grass, and it said not very effective, and did not outright kill the Pikachu, which I was surprised at, because I wasn't sure if type effectiveness would be taken into account with Z moves. Apparently it is, which is interesting, because like if you use the normal Z move, on a ghost type, is it just not gonna work? And for like signature ones, like Snorlax has the pulverizing pancake. Is that technically a normal type Z move? I guess it would have to be, so then would that not work on Gengar? Or something? See, that's something that we're gonna have to figure out once the main game comes out, and I'm super excited for it. Because there's still that little bit of mystery to Z moves, even though we know a little bit more about them, which is good. So, okay. I talked about smashing rocks a bit earlier, and of course, you do that whilst riding a Tauros, which is the new Pokéride feature, which they demonstrate for you in the demo. And you get to ride Tauros all around town and smash through rocks at 10 Carat Hill and that other place. And I like it. I do. I like the feature. And you can register them. You get to the menu for the Pokéride through the Y button, which is how you used to register items. But now you register Pokéride features to the D-pad. Now, this is where I get into my biggest grievance with the demo, and hopefully not the main games. I really hope it's not this way. But the only method of movement is the circle pad. You cannot walk with the D-pad. Some of you may not care. Some of you may not know the difference. However, throughout Generation 6 on X and Y and Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, my main means of locomotion was the D-pad, because that's how I had been trained for as long as I've had a handheld Pokemon game. I've used a directional pad with the 4 arrows pointing off in each direction. That's just how I was used to it. So with my 3DS, it still had that, so that's still what I used. Also, I wasn't sure how the circle pad would hold up all the time with using it and moving it around and stuff. Like, I know people have broken theirs for like overuse and stuff, and so I didn't want to use it more than I had to, I guess. So I only use it sometimes, like when I play Super Smash Brothers on the 3DS or something, or Mario Kart. And since I could use it for most of the stuff on Pokemon, I did. Now it doesn't seem like I'll be able to do that, and then I know it's going to be really hard to try and only move around with the circle pad when I'm not used to it. I did test it on the battle screen, and you can use the D-pad on the battle screen to go up and down and select moves and stuff like you always used to be able to. But you can't walk with it? I know that they want to be able to register the Pokéride feature to the D-pad, but you can register items to the D-pad in 6th generation. All you have to do is press Y and then hit a direction. I don't understand why hitting Y and then hitting a direction was so out of the question, such a burden that you no longer are able to press the Y button, you only have to press the direction. It doesn't seem like it'd be that hard to do that, because you wouldn't need to register items, because I've thought about this. What items do you register? The bike, of course, a fishing rod, the item finder, probably, and the Eon flute is the things that I registered in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. Let's think about this. Do you have a bike in Sun and Moon? I don't know. I know you ride a Tauros everywhere, and he can get pretty fast, so he essentially replaces the bike. You surf and fish on a Lapras, I believe, is how you fish. I know you use the Stoutland to look for items, and of course to fly, you fly on Charizard. You don't need to register any of those old key items anymore because they're all on Pokéride. So I'm completely fine with changing the key items to Pokéride features in the registering of the D-pad. However, I just wish that it were on a secondary menu Not even a difficult one. All you do is hit Y and then hit a direction rather than just hitting a direction. Because I know for a fact that a lot of the time I'm going to want to walk left and then accidentally get on my Tauros, or even worse, accidentally start flying on my Charizard when I don't mean to. So hopefully I can avoid that. But that's my biggest grievance, I guess, with the demo, and hopefully not the game. I don't know why they would do that sort of thing. It's just a personal preference. I know it probably doesn't affect a whole lot of people, but if it does, let me know. Okay, and there are a couple of events, I know I talked about events earlier, that aren't necessarily ones that are timed. Like, they don't say, come back in 4 days and I'll do this thing. But some of them just sort of happen, which is cool and interesting that they have ones that tell you about and then kind of secret ones that they don't tell you about. Like, you can go with How and eat those little treats in the shop, except they don't actually show any of that. They don't even show you in the shop together. I guess that's budget cuts, right? You can talk to Lily, which I did. I found her, I talked to her, I asked her a question, I asked her what was in the box, and she just kind of blew me off and ran away, so I kind of wish I had asked her the other question. Like, who she was, I think, was the question, or something. And what else was there? Oh, Sino and Dexia are near the coffee shop in the Pokemon Center, just kind of talking about the region and how they feel like something ominous is going to happen. And then there's the one that I didn't believe, that I didn't want to believe, and that is that there's a lady on Tin Carrot Hill by the water who you'll talk to, and then she'll ask you something, and then your Poke Finder will activate, which is the Rotom Dex feature that allows you to take pictures of Pokemon, basically the Pokemon Snap. And you look around and you zoom in, and there's a Dugtrio with a bunch of golden hair on each of the 3 heads, and I guess that's Alolan Dugtrio, which, you know, it's interesting. It's fine, I guess. That's not the design choice I would have gone for, probably. I don't mind it being a ground and steel type, apparently, as the latest trailer showed. That's fine. I just kind of wish that they had gone with a different design. I don't see how a wig turns you into a steel type, but they're just... It's interesting on the Alolan forums, because they have ones that are really cool and awesome, like Alolan Ninetales is great. Alolan Marowak, everybody loves, and it's really cool. Alolan Sandslash is awesome. And then there's these really weird, goofy ones, like Executor, and now Dugtrio, and maybe Persian, probably. And I don't know what they're trying to do exactly with that. I'll be interested to see, basically. I am really hoping that we haven't seen all the Alolan forms that are going to be in the game. I kind of doubt it, because right now it's like maybe 10 or 12 or so, and that's like half of the Mega Evolutions that were in X and Y. So if it's at all similar, I'm sure there's going to be a lot more that we haven't seen, which I'm glad. And yeah, so I went and saw Alolan Dugtrio. Didn't want to believe it, but there it was. So, I think that's about everything I had on the demo. I just wanted to ramble a few of my thoughts, I guess, just before Sun and Moon came out. Overall, I was very happy with the demo. I was happy with the story that they gave us to begin with. Those Team Skull grunts kept flailing their arms all around. Like, if I hadn't hit A, they would have stood there for a whole week and just popped and locked, and it was ridiculous. And I can't wait to fight them more in the actual game. And the Ether Foundation didn't appear at all, so I'm really excited to see them and what they're all gonna be about. So, yeah, let me know what you thought about the demo, and of course, what you think about Sun and Moon. They are right here, they're upon us, and we're gonna have a lot of fun playing these games. I know it. I know I am. So, let me know in the comments below what you thought, if you agreed with any of my thoughts, or if you are outraged by any of them. I'm sure I'll hear about that as well. Leave a like, and be sure and subscribe so that you can become an Imperial today. This is Emperor Cubone, signing off.